Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday spoiler-free comic review show. I am Jason,
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics out of the lovely Chattanooga, Tennessee. So every Tuesday, after we're done bagging and boarding all the new comics, we sit down and we read a more than healthy dose of them.
It felt extra healthy this week. It feels like comics are now like double sized everything.
Yeah, the A story and the B story. That's
Yeah.
definitely what DC's been doing. One of the DCs I read this week had even a C story,
Oh wow.
but it was just sort of a prequel thing. But anyhow, we have the pleasure of reading all these, and so we do this show every week to tell you in a spoiler-free way why you may or may not like a comic. We tell you the plot. We'll tell you if there's first appearances or anything major in there, but we're not going to ruin your reading experience.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to start today. I've been really looking forward to reading this. I read Children of the Atom #1.
Years in the making feels like.
Yeah, this was highly delayed, but it has come out now. So what a strange and interesting book. Let me show it again. So these are not the young X-Men. These are new characters who are sort of basing their identities on some of the X-Men. Not to mention their powers are similar. So the whole thing it's a mystery. The whole thing, reading the first issue, you get introduced to these characters, which I should go ahead and stop and say there are 5 first appearances in this, like full first appearances. The characters are Cherub, who has powers that's sort of like Angel. There is Marvel Guy, yeah, who
I wonder who that's supposed to be.
exactly. So you got your Jean Grey analog there. There's Cyclops-Lass, who, the name, honestly, it reads easier than saying it. Like when I say it out loud, it's like Cyclops-Lass.
Cyclops-Lass.
Yeah. So there's her. My favorite one, Gimmick.
Okay.
Gimmick is off of Gambit.
Okay.
And I don't know, the humor, it's not lost on me. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
And lastly, there's Daycrawler. So yeah, obviously
Covering
from Nightcrawler.
both shifts of crawling.
So they are the children of the atom, and they have serious powers. I mean, I don't know if we've really seen anything else like Nightcrawler, where it has his just few toes and such,
Yeah.
and it does the bamf and all that. They have these powers. So it's like, who are these kids? And it kind of goes into that. Not to mention, so basically the plot is, without revealing too much, some of the X-Men approach them going, hey, why aren't y'all in Krakoa? And you'll just have to read to see what they say. It's not even exactly an answer. It's more of a dodging of the question. And so you get a healthy dose of the X-Men in Krakoa talking about these kids, being like, who are they? What are they doing? Like, have you noticed they look a bit like some of us? So I thought it was really cool. There's a lot to read in it. It's definitely not one of these issues where I breeze through it. There's a whole lot to it. So I'm really interested in this mystery. I'm also want to take bets on, when you have that many new characters like Strange Academy, you have to wonder who's going to be the breakout character.
Yeah.
So, is it going to be Cherub? Is it going to be Marvel Guy, Cyclops-Lass, Gimmick, or Daycrawler? I don't know. I'm going to put my money on Gimmick. That's what I say.
Yeah, sounds fun.
So everybody watching, if you feel like commenting or commenting later, let us know who you think the breakout character is going to be. So we got a few variants. We want to make you guys aware there's a secret variant. So I've already shown you the A cover. Notice Cyclops-Lass does not have a helmet. Her hair is free. Here is the secret variant. The helmet is on. So we have a few of these for people who subscribe to us that are $20. So if you have a pull box with us, we are offering this.
Yeah, so you got like the classic team and the poses of the...
Correct. Yeah, the classic team like the kids were on the other cover.
That's cool.
And there are 2 other variants. We have this design variant for $12 in that style they've been using with all of the House and Powers of X stuff. And then lastly, this is my favorite one. This is the 1 in 25 Chang variant. We're selling it for $30. It shows the children of the atom, but right above each one is the character who they represent. And I think this is interesting because you have 3 classic X-Men right there. You have Jean Grey, Cyclops, and Angel. But then they brought in Nightcrawler, who of course comes in with the Claremont X-Men. And then way later you get Gambit. So it's people from
kind
you
of the
know, the
whole, yeah.
60s all the way to the late 80s. So pretty interesting. I can't wait to see the reveal on who they are.
Does it feel? I haven't read it yet, so all of mine is speculation. Are they clones? Are they?
Here's what I'll say. You see them at high school, and it seems like they've been in school for a long time. You see one's parents.
Okay.
So I don't know. I really don't know.
So we
But
don't
I
smell
like
Mr. Sinister on any of it, or
there'd have to be some real deep finagling if he's involved, but maybe.
hmm. I'm interested in that one. Also, does it feel like how uh, important is it that you read the other X-Men books that are currently coming out, or does this feel pretty new reader accessible?
It's very new reader accessible. The beginning talks about Krakoa. It has like just a little bit
Yeah.
of wording that tells you about Krakoa. After that, it's just sort of go. Now, if you didn't know anything about Hickman's X Men, you may be like, "What is all this Krakoa stuff?"
Yeah.
It tells you enough to get it, but I mean, with the way Hickman writes, you're going
You
to be
couldn't summarize Hickman in a couple of sentences. It takes
yeah,
a
yeah.
whole book.
So
Well, awesome. Next, I will jump to what is could be. I don't know. This is a big week for comics. So I was about to say the biggest book, but those are all competing. But a very big one that everyone's been looking forward to is Joker
yes,
#1. This is the first official ongoing Joker series I think we've ever had. We've had that, they call it Volume 2, but there was that like old like kind of mini series
yeah,
a long time ago. Um, so this is really cool because it's called Joker #1, but it's very much about Commissioner Gordon, or I guess just Gordon now because he's no longer commissioner, and he's a sad dude. I mean, Commissioner Gordon has had a rough life. So this picks up with him. Uh, he's later on in his career. He's thinking about retirement, but there's always been that one thing that he's never overcome. That one investigation he's never solved, and that's taking down the Joker.
right.
That is a big thing for him. It has been uh, a very big part of his life, and
The,
not a
the
good way.
the guy who's messed with his city and gotten away with it
Yeah,
over and over again.
who shot his daughter and
Yeah,
crippled his daughter, who has kind of corrupted his son, who's done all this stuff. So that kind of keeps him up at night. He definitely has a lot of horrible flashbacks to the Joker and what he's done. Well, let's just say one day Gordon gets a call and it says, "Hey, we want you to be the guy to get the Joker." Now you can determine what you think that means and what it entails, but there's some new characters that come into play that basically have the funds and the means to say, "We think you're the guy to go after Joker. Drop everything you're doing and be on a plane. We know where Joker is,
huh.
and you've got all the means to do it. But will you?" And it's not easy for Gordon. It's a definitely putting his life on the line, but also just the emotional turmoil that Joker, like getting, playing chess with Joker. He's gonna really mess with your brain
So
playing his
they're not
game.
telling him arrest Joker. They're telling him stop Joker.
Yeah, stop Joker hard.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's a really, really interesting. Joker does not feature in this issue much, but his shadow looms over the entire thing. I think that is what makes this book work. So this is by James Tynion, who has been doing the outstanding run on Batman.
All the Joker War.
All the Joker
and after.
War, the stuff that we've just talked about recently. And this goes right along with that. If you thought that was good, this is as good, better, because I feel like this is a story you've never read before, but by Tynion, who has become one of the best writers in comics. So I cannot recommend this book highly enough. Even if I don't want to say even if you don't like Batman, but I mean almost everyone likes Batman. But I mean this feels like one of the closest things I've said to a must read. Like this is big. This is going to be, I feel like, really important going forward. Tynion introduces new characters that every character he's introduced so far has become a thing.
Yeah.
Like
Hasn't been forgotten.
Hasn't been forgotten. So it feels like investing in these characters is big. This also features a backup story about Punchline. So last we left Punchline at the end of Joker War and all that, she got arrested.
Right.
Well, we know they've smattered it here and there that she's got a following
I was
in
going to say
Gotham.
her arrest was to plan.
Yeah.
It really was. She wanted the attention.
Right. I mean, she said from the beginning her goal is not just Gotham, it's the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you really see, even in jail, she's in control of her image and her destiny. And the art in that is by Mirka Andolfo, so it is awesome. So this is just a kind of a 1-2 punch of two great stories featuring Joker and Punchline, and you will not want to miss this, and you'll definitely want to get issue 2 of this.
You know, a lot of people talk about with DC, they put Batman's name and Batman in a lot of books.
Yeah.
And at times they've had 4, even 5 Batman books running, miniseries and full series. It's about time, and I mean, I'm hoping this is James Tynion's work, that he's like, let's give Joker a book.
Yeah.
I mean, why have they not done that yet?
Yeah.
So.
It almost feels like it's like it could be called like the case file of Joker, because it's so much bigger than just the character. It is just what he represents, you know.
Right.
This could have easily have been something like the big deal of 3 Jokers. They could have talked this up like it was
and
like an event.
I
like
wonder
that.
if, you know, with him trying to stop the Joker, he may get involved a little bit with his past.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you never know what Joker has planned, and you'll just have to read it and see, because Joker is in it, and the little bit he's in it, he makes a big impact. So let's see. There is some really nice variants.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get this out of the way.
Here goes the
you
creepy
can cover
one.
your eyes if you're horrified of it. I understand.
Be careful! Don't touch the face with your fingers.
I don't even think of what the texture feels like. So there you go. You've got Joker, even with his glass eye that he has now after Joker War.
And that's the Quitely?
That's the Frank Whiteley variant. Then we have...
Just scare your friends and neighbors with that.
the Punchline Matina variant.
It's cool.
We have, of course, the sketch cover, but they've done a nice green on this one.
Good thing we don't have the green screen on.
Or it just looked like I was pinching the word Joker. Then we have... This is a very limited cover. This is the Brooks, what they call these team variants.
The team variant, yep.
So your store had to order a minimum number of these.
A whole lot. So a lot of stores did not get this cover. We're one of the stores that did.
Yeah, we're selling this one for 10, but it is. I mean, this is just as good as like a a website exclusive, or how they get those big artists to do some. This one's so nice.
And that's the only cover that has the Joker and Punchline on it.
Yeah, that's
together.
true. And then we have the 1 in 25. I'm almost completely sold out of these today.
Yeah, limited.
Yeah, selling them for $30. But this is the Federici Joker variant. And he's doing these for a lot of books. I know we'll be talking about on Comics from the Future. We're going to be talking about the next issue of Batman, which he has a Scarecrow one for. So these would be nice if people get all of these creepy portraits.
See, I want to see a Joker like that in one of the movies.
Yes.
Sort of gangster evil Joker.
Yeah.
And we're selling the remaining ones we have of that is $30.
$30, yep.
Okay, so let me get my stuff straight here. Swap that out. So the next one I'm going to be talking about is Wonder Woman 770. This is a new creative team on Wonder Woman, so it's a really good jump on point. And this is not like any Wonder Woman I have read in ages. So this is all in the solicitation, so it's not a spoiler. Wonder Woman just suddenly is in Asgard. I mean, it's like she blinks and she's there. She can't quite remember how she got there. She knows mostly about herself.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting seeing DC's version of Asgard. I
Right.
read a lot of Thor.
But so we have
I
that
read a lot
mental
of Marvel
image.
Thor. Yeah, and of course, seeing the movies and all that too. It's interesting seeing DC's version of Asgard. It's very different. It's a little bit more like what you would read in mythology,
Mm,
is what I would say.
yeah.
A lot of battling nonstop, a lot of drinking, and Wonder Woman kind of likes it, even though she knows she's not supposed to be there. So, sort of like as with Children of the Atom, this book right off the bat starts out a big mystery. She meets a little creature who lives in the World Tree that is adorable and funny.
Mm.
That I think everybody who reads this is going to really like that. That little creature. It's his first appearance. That's the most I'll say about him. But the real question is what brings an Olympian, she's from Olympus, to or her people,
Yeah, yeah.
are
Greek
from Olympus.
mythology based.
Yeah, what is she doing in Asgard? That's sort of the mystery to it. So really good first issue by a new creative team, great jump on point, and a really cool mystery setup. It has a backup story called Young Diana, which is about her as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That was also a pretty good read. But the A story, the main story, was really awesome. It has this great cover I'm going to show. That is a wraparound cover. We had a lot of pre-orders on this, but we still do have it available. Look at that. Very happy to be able to show that off.
Yeah. So
That's what Tuesdays are all about.
This is interesting because for everyone who read Infinite Frontier, you get a hint of this, but you don't know necessarily why.
Right.
Like, why is this happening?
They're definitely going to explore it. By the end of the issue, they don't reveal why, but the exploration has begun.
See, I think that's cool because, I mean, I've read so much Wonder Woman that is Themyscira, that's Ares, that's Hippolyta. Like, we've got the Greek stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
But to see DC's version of this, it almost opens up the world for, are they going to bring in Egyptian? Are they going to bring in, like, oh, if you can cross over to these other mythologies, what else is there? And I think that's a really cool door that DC hasn't explored before.
So I've said on a few of our shows before that DC is doing more with Wonder Woman than I've ever seen them do, as far as building her character up even bigger than she is. I mean, they make it where she's immortal. They make it where at the end of time, it's just her and the Spectre.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Spectre's on his way out. It's really just going to be her. So I think she's on the path to all that. I think that's why she's crossing over. Yeah. But I don't know. This is just me guessing. The story hasn't revealed it yet. But I'm definitely interested.
Yeah. She's primed to be, arguably DC's biggest character going forward. I mean, there's always going to be Batman, but...
The last thing I'll say is, so we were talking about how obviously Marvel does tons of stuff with Asgard. What would DC's Thor be like? You may want to check out this issue. That's all I'm going to say. You might want to check out this issue.
That's cool.
Yep.
So next up, I'm going to talk about another book that was supposed to come out quite a while ago and got pushed, but is now finally out this week. This is like the week 4. Finally! This thing we've seen the cover for it feels like over a year. Non-Stop Spider-Man, #1.
First question, so did it stop?
Through the entire thing, I was thinking, is it stopping? No, it's still going.
Wow.
I will say there's a few moments that are flashbacks that people are not non-stop.
Okay.
They're stop. But for the most part, the current ongoing Spider-Man just doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun because even at the end, during the kind of like message from the editor, they talk about this is like Speed or Crank or like all of those movies that are just like in your face, moving. And I definitely got the feel of that. Chris Bachalo's art in this, I mean, Spider-Man is always moving like across the panel or coming at you or something. But I kind of was figuring that when I heard about this book. I'm like, okay, it's going to be nonstop action. But what's the story?
Hmm.
How do you tell a
Right.
nonstop story? Well, this one's interesting in the fact of um, Spider-Man having to get somewhere in time, and that's how you kind of set up this nonstop while he's being chased by um, rich thugs, which is very funny. They might even have designer katanas, which is it's a really funny thing. Like
My
Spider-Man is
Gucci katana.
Spider-Man is just making fun of them constantly as they're chasing him. But there's also a pretty hard hitting, not subplot. It's the main plot, but it's not the Spider-Man's going nonstop. But it's kind of the crux of why he's doing it. That's really serious. Was not expecting that, so much so that it addresses it in the end of the issue of like, those kind of PSAs of if this is a problem or if this, So I was really taken off guard by how serious of an issue and how emotional some of this is.
Hmm.
It deals with a death of a character that's um, I'm not sure if it's a character we've seen before, but it's definitely an instigator for Spider-Man to question some things and his friends and stuff. So, really exciting issue, of course. Um, I will mention that I really like the colors in this, and
Hmm.
because sometimes Chris Bachalo's art is very. I mean, I see why they got him on this book. It is hectic. Um, I know with his Doctor Strange, there was a lot going on panel, and sometimes it was very hard to
Yeah,
parse
I
out
know
what you're
exactly what
looking
you're
at.
talking about.
Just like recently, he did the art on the Donny Cates story in Wolverine Black, White, and Blood, and there's a few panels in that where you're really have to sift through to see like what character is that, what am I looking at. Um, so I feel like the colors in this really does a good job of grounding it, not losing Bachalo's art and what makes it great, but definitely is very readable. You don't have
Hmm.
you're not confused by anything, especially because I was worried about that too. Is like there's so much going on. Am I just going to be like, wait, what is Spider-Man doing? Where is he?
Hmm.
But that is all really well done. Um, and there is a backup story in this, which I was not expecting, that kind of reveals who's the big villain on all of this. And I'm not positive if it's the person they show in the end of it. If it is, it's someone I don't know if I've ever seen Spider-Man go up against.
Huh.
But it kind of does set up a larger story that this could move into. So, really good book. Definitely non-stop, except for the stopping parts. But for the most part, this Spider-Man is on the move constantly.
It's like when runners stop in marathons to get some water thrown in their face.
Yeah, I mean, I like the second word in this book is go,
Hmm.
and I think that is an apt second word. I think the first one is let's
I was guessing.
or gotta or
I
something.
go, gotta
It's
go.
something like that. Yeah, I just said the second word's go because I couldn't really remember what the first word was. I just
Hmm.
remember go is really big. Um, so really good book. Uh, really good kind of companion to the main Amazing Spider-Man series, which is on occasion very thoughtful. The last few issues, especially with the Last Remains and with Kindred and stuff, there wasn't a whole lot of action because it was pretty dark and moody. It was great, but we didn't get that like quippy stuff because it was so dark. This I feel like is kind of satiates that classic Spider-Man goofball
Hmm.
making jokes. So we've got quite a few variants for this book. Let's start off with the Todd Knock variant, which is the non-stop reading cover, because there is speech bubbles everywhere, which I haven't even taken the time to read all of them, but I think that's a really cool cover. Is it? Careful, don't be over eager. There'll be plenty of me to go around. Like it just nonstop quips. Then we have I believe this is the Lashley cover, which is really nice. Very much reminds me of like McFarlane Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But Lashley's a great artist.
I think this next one's the one I was.
I know. I was trying to say this because this
interested
one it's going to take some talking about. So this
Yeah, this is cool. We've never seen them do it like this.
they've never done it like that. So it says, "Congratulations, you hold in your hands a genuine Marvel Comics no cover. Remove this and shelve the Marvel masterpiece inside.
Now, why
Handle
would
with
they
care."
have that? Why
Why
would
would
they
it-
have that?
Which is funny because
Because-
it's very much like the Marvel No Prize.
Yeah.
So, because on the inside is the die cut cover.
Yes. That's
Which-
my favorite.
So they've done this really well. If you look, it is actually got cuts in this. It is not stapled to the book.
Right.
So that way it can actually protect the comic. And I see why, as opposed to some of the ones we've got before. This is a very brittle feeling die cut. So let me open it up. So you see the inside there. Really nice Bachalo cover. But you see like how intricate the line work on this is. There's some very thin parts on this. So I'm really glad they did this protector
I am
cover
too.
over it to keep it from getting all tore apart. Yeah, but I really like this too. They actually put in some good work with this fun little sleeve cover of it. But I would kind of want to keep both of them. Maybe slide that in the back of the.
I'm just really happy they came up with a solution
Yes.
instead of just shipping us a bunch of messed up covers.
Because we've
which
done
is
them
what
before
would've
where they
happened
have
in the
tears going
Yeah.
out the edges of them and
Mhm.
everything. And then we have. Let's see. This is.
past. Some incentive covers.
Yeah, some incentives. So this is a 2 per store. This is kind of that party variants they've been doing that
Yeah, I think they call them Premiere.
Premiere, something like that, that kind of a gradient from black and white to the color. And that's of the A cover. Then we have the 1 per store. That's the black and white version of the knock cover.
Right.
You gotta
the
show it up.
sketch version.
You got to show it up close because it can just look like a muddle of ink from a
What are we
distance.
selling that one for?
This one is 20, and so is the last one. And then we have the 1 in 50. This is the Kubert variant, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And that one's only 25. And all these covers, not stopping. You don't see any Spider-Man standing around on these covers, leaning. Nope.
Okay, speaking of covers and Spider-Man, I'm going to go ahead and show off these variants. So, Michael Cho has been doing the two-tone variants, and there's a few new ones out this week, the first of which is Amazing Spider-Man, number 61. So just making you aware, whether you shop with us or a different local store, you might want that. The other two are, you have the Immortal Hulk,
I love the green on that one.
and then lastly, we have the Strange Academy, Doctor Strange, altering your doors of perception, your windows of perception. So all of those are available this week as well. Back to Andy. I took an easy one.
You took an easy one. I've got easy ones coming up. So let's talk about this one. I've got it up here for a minute. This is Carmen number 1. So this was originally published in the writer artist native country. I believe he's Italian. I'm not positive, so I'm not gonna just come out and say that.
Right.
But this is Gilliam March, who is the artist on Joker that we just talked about. He is one of the ongoing artists of Batman, so you're very familiar with his work. This is his written and drawn book from Image. This is what I like about it is it does feel very European, which I do really like. It's a certain tone. I was talking with Megan earlier about this, that like I feel like with just straight American comics, there's a certain feel to them and you know it, even if you don't think about it, but then you read something like a manga or a European comic or something, you realize, oh, there's these other flavors that I'm not used to.
Right.
Storytelling bits and everything. This very much has that, where it the way it flows, the number of panels per page, the dialogue is all very unique. it is beautiful. You could tell this was like his art passion project because,
Yeah, just look at the cover.
yes, I mean, he must be an insane person because this character, who features very prominently in the book, always looks like this. I would never want to draw a skeleton on
Over
near
and
every
over and over and
panel.
over.
It is, and the way it turns and everything, I mean, I can't imagine how long it took to do this, but it is gorgeous. I mean, I feel like you could even understand the book if it had no dialogue. The
Wow.
dialogue is good. Like, I will, I mean, spoiler alert, uh, Muppet Christmas Carol is dropped in this. Someone mentions a Muppet Christmas Carol, and that's when I knew I was on board. Um, it is very referential. It's very down to earth, personable, but it is a very mature. So it deals with really like um, mature themes of like self harm and death, and the main character not wearing much clothes through the entire book, pert near none, as
Yeah.
we would say here, buck naked.
That's the one that's got the sort of saucy, spicy bee cover as
Yes,
well.
but it is very tasteful because it does come from that very European style where it's a little bit more normalized, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But the way art is, I mean, it just shows off like his beautiful like character work and anatomy work and everything. But it's a little bit like a Muppet Christmas Carol, minus the Muppets and the Christmas theme, but it has a little bit of that a character personified death, taking a character through a thing and kind of showing them um, different aspects of life and everything. So it's very thoughtful, but still very fun. Uh, but I believe it is because it was originally published as like a graphic novel, and this is split up into multiple parts. I don't remember how many parts it is. It's 4 or 5, I want to say. But if you like that kind of mature read in many senses of very thoughtful, very just that storytelling that's not superhero, it's that other thing that
Right.
everyone knows they've read that kind of story. But really good. There is some covers. This is the spicy cover, just because it's got a big old booty on it.
Yep.
But that is the Mara cover, and then we have the blank as well.
Yeah, the Minara cover, we definitely had a good bit of pre-orders on that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get away from European comic enlightenment, and instead I'm going to talk about Deadpool.
Wow. The
So,
the polar opposite.
Yep. So Marvel has come out with Deadpool Nerdy 30, celebrating Deadpool's 30th anniversary. Deadpool was created in 1991 by Fabian Nicieza, who has an Italian name, so he elevates the book that way, and Rob Liefeld. Both of them actually do some writing and some art in this book. So this is 8 different stories told by 8 different creative teams, people who have written Deadpool over the years. That includes, let's see, so I already said Rob Liefeld and Fabian. There's also Gail Simone, Kelly Thompson, Joe Kelly, Daniel Way, Jerry Dugan, who Jerry Dugan wrote some of my favorite Deadpool, and Brian Posehn. A lot of people forget that Brian Posehn.
He was like the co-writer with them for a while in that series.
So all of them work in this book. Most of the stories are about 3 to 4 pages. They usually have to do with Deadpool at different points in his life when he's having birthdays. Some of them are him as a baby. Some of them are him in the future. Well, at least one of them involves his daughter. We don't really get to see too much of her. So it was fun. It was funny. I enjoyed it. I read it end to end. When one story would start to get a little, okay, I see where this is going, it'd be over, and then there's the next story.
That's when Deadpool works the best, is it knows its punchline, and then it can move on from that.
Yeah, and it has a really good ending story that Rob Liefeld does, and there's even a character in it.
Are you talking about that final page? Because I flipped through it and I saw the final page.
Okay, so I can't say it. I'll spoil it. But when you see the final page and who's there, Deadpool likes to break the fourth wall,
Yeah.
and he kind of brings in somebody when he breaks the fourth wall on the last page. So anyway, I thought it was fun. It was funny. Here is the Rob Liefeld variant. Now, Liefeld, he's had some squabbles with Marvel over the year,
Hmm.
and I'm really glad that they're able to bring him back for
It
this.
wouldn't have been right to do the Deadpool anniversary issue and not have him involved in some way.
Yeah, they have a story in this also that goes over his creation.
That's cool.
And I don't think this spoils much. There's even a panel where Deadpool has collected New Mutants 98.
Oh, good.
And he talks about it and its price and how much it cost him. I mean, that's fun. That's
Yeah.
fun and funny. This is the party variant.
Get to see who he's invited or who attends.
I'm pretty sure he tricked them all to
Yeah.
get together. Then
I don't see She-Hulk like being like, okay, I'll come. She would find an excuse.
yeah. So
Wolverine might have begrudgingly shown up. Okay, so next up, let's talk about Batman Urban Legends. This feels like a whole new thing for DC. Um, so before Future State began, some pretty big titles got canceled. Stuff like Red Hood, Outsiders, even Harley Quinn. Even though she does have a book coming back soon, a lot of those ended, and this is a oversized. It's going to be a series that is where those stories are continuing. So the main story in this, the first story in it, I didn't do a page count, but I believe it is the longest story in it, is about Red Hood. And it's going to be ongoing from issue to issue. So it's like you get a bunch of like little books. These aren't just one and done. I feel like they're going to play around with that, but there are some ongoing ones. And the Red Hood story is great. So I hadn't read the last chunk of Red Hood. I read it like a lot of the Rebirth stuff, but I hadn't read the last bit. But very easy to get back into the character. Very much still he's pulled between his two worlds of like, I don't think Batman is doing the right thing. I don't think he's doing a good job. But also, I'm in Gotham and I'm going to kind of follow his rules. Like, he's kind of the boss here. I'm not going to kill. I'm not going to do this. But that's definitely pushed to its limits when there's a new drug introduced to Gotham that can only be described as if you have Scarecrow's fear toxin, this is the opposite. Huh. It's I can't remember what it's called, but at least the pills or the drug is it looks like a smiley face, and it's just as harmful as being horrified of things is being too elated. And so he's investigating that at the same time Batman is investigating it, and they both have their own ways of doing it. And this brings a lot of humanity to Red Hood that I really enjoyed. He's put into a situation where he's kind of forced to be an adult in the situation, and that story is great. I cannot wait to see where that goes. There's also
there's a lot of buzz about that story.
Yeah,
I haven't got to read it yet, but I heard something kind of happens in it.
Yeah, there is a grifter story, which is a continuation of the Future State grifter story for the most part. The grifter story in Future State did take place in the future. This is similar, but in the ongoing time, about grifter coming to Gotham and kind of what's his job there. Kind of reintroduces you to who he is, who some of his contemporaries are. There's a part where they're like, grifter, he's the best at what he does. They even make that like Wolverine joke, and it's like, well, actually Deathstroke and Deadshot and Lady Shiva, but he's up there. Like, it has that sense of humor of like, he's a little bit fumbling his way through being this like assassin character, but really good humor. He's a fun character. Name drop some other characters that I was happy to see. No spoilers, but Deathblow. Jim Lee's created Deathblow.
Wow.
So that kind of like Team 7, other Wildstorm
Yeah, I've heard a lot of the
characters,
Wildstorm characters are jumping into
which
DC
I'm
now.
excited. I think that's cool. These are some great characters. We know, Midnighter's been around for a little while in the DC universe, and we're gonna get some more of those kind of characters. So Grifter was great. The Outsider story was pretty short, but definitely the last page reveal that is kind of a what the moment that was really cool. And the other one was a Harley Quinn Poison Ivy story, which I feel like was the story that people who are a big fan of Harley and Poison Ivy had really been waiting for. That really spells out their relationship clearly, and uh, but it's also very sad because if you've read the last time Poison Ivy appeared in things, her character has gotten shaken up a little bit, where she's kind of a little bit more the villain now that Harley's a little more a hero.
Yeah.
And that's really messing with Harley, but it's kind of a retrospective of her thinking about Ivy, and then at the end it does say to be continued in Harley Quinn and in Batman. So I think that's really cool. It's a really good story. That is the kind of one-shot story in it. But overall, this is really good. If you're reading the main Batman series, I think this is a great way of like keeping up with a bunch of the other characters that you may not necessarily have like picked up before. Even if you're like, I want to read Red Hood, well, you get some other ones in here that you may fall just in love as much in love with going forward. So this is a big book. I believe it is. How much was this one? So it's $7.99, but it's definitely. You get multiple stories in it, so definitely worth it.
It was an interesting way for DC to continue those series, like you said. So the series don't have to die. The characters don't have to go into obscurity. Like, what's Red Hood been doing?
Yeah.
While Batman has another 25 issues.
I'd be very interested to see, maybe a Superman or a Justice League form of this that takes some of those characters and I know Aquaman series ended. It could be coming back, maybe not, but I wouldn't be, super upset if they came out with one of these that had a Green Lantern, Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, or something like that. That I think would be a really cool way of keeping those stories and those characters progressing.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about DC titles having heftier price tags, but what I keep telling people is, at least they're adding more content. And to me, what I care most about is, are the reads good? Whether something is $3.99 or $7.99, as long as they have enough in it and it's good, I'm happy. And I have to say, I think DC's been doing a really good job.
Yeah. So even Batman recently, like the first issue was like $1 more or something like that, but you had the Damian Wayne story in the back of it. It was like, you're giving me content for the money, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah. If they slim these down and leave that hefty price, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. What you got up next?
What I have up next is, I read Superman number 29. Like the latest Wonder Woman, this is a new creative team. Bendis has told his Superman tales, and he has fled the scene. And so now this is a good jump on point. Pretty much, John Kent is back from the future. He went to the future. He was hanging out with the Legion of Superheroes for a very long time, and now he's back. So him and his father, Superman, Clark Kent, they're reconnecting. There's a battle going on, but the story is told very poetically. And I don't mean like it rhymes or anything like that, but it is a very thoughtful story about fathers and sons. And it could also relate to mothers and daughters, or any sort of mix of that. But it has to do with the way young people view their elders. How for a time when you're really young, your elder seems invincible and immortal. And that is obviously the light that John Kent has felt about Superman. But he's come back from the future, and he has seen too much. He has seen something dark. He has seen something bad that's going to happen to his father, and it really shakes how he feels about him. He doesn't necessarily feel... Before, he felt like Superman was definitely his protector too. But who protects his father when he knows something bad is going to happen to him? So I thought the storytelling was really solid. It's not heavy dialogue. It's a lot of people's thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of really good art. There is some villainous person in the background, of course. Might be somebody related to Suicide Squad, I'll say
Oh.
that, who might be running some tests to find out things. People always try to find out about Superman.
Yeah.
They're always like, one day you might turn on
If
us.
they all pool the resources, they might actually know something.
I know. So, but because of this, some new bad thing might be unleashed, and John Kent might know what's going to happen, and he might want to tell Superman or not. It's a rough situation he's in. So I thought it was really cool. First issue for the new creative team. So if Bendis wasn't your thing, you might want to check out Superman
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Here is the wraparound variant. I really like these. They're going back doing wraparounds for all the series that are starting up again. We already saw the Batman one
Yeah,
a while
Batman.
back.
She had the Wonder Woman this
Mhm.
week, and now Superman.
And now
I
this.
think Justice League #1 has one too.
Yep.
Awesome.
Is that? Do you,
I was
do you
about to
have
say,
any
was
more?
there any other
I
variants
do.
for that? Okay.
Or no?
Okay.
This is the only
No,
one
I've
for
still
this.
got one more big thing I do want to talk about, which is Proctor Valley Road,
Yes.
which is the new book by Alex Child, Grant Morrison.
Yep, Grant Morrison.
Which, I mean, when you put the name Grant Morrison on something, it unlocks a whole new world of opportunity.
He hasn't done a big indie book like this in a very long time.
Yeah, back in the day, he was known for that kind of
Correct.
thing with what is it, Invisibles, and his run on Animal Man and all those. This is really interesting. It's not like something I've read from him before. I would say mostly because of the art style that it's paired with. It is a very an art style you would almost go more with like a more kid-friendly book. Remind me a little bit of like the art in Last Witch we saw recently. But this is a more mature title, but it takes place in the 70s. There's a lot of 70s references. Janis Joplin, Pink Floyd.
I'm gonna go listen to ABBA now.
Yeah, you hardcore ABBA kid. That definitely felt like Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison is a big rock and roll fan. Everything that all felt very Morrison. But it follows a group of girls who I'm not gonna lie. When I started reading, I was like, I don't really like them, but it's because they're kind of bad kids. Like, it opens with one of the kids distracting a store owner by playing music, and they're like, in some places back in olden days, they would trade a song for food and goods, and so she starts playing a song while her friend is like stealing stuff in the background, and I'm like, these are jerks. But as it goes along, you kind of get a better feel for these friends, this kind of friend group they have. It's a little Stranger Things feeling, but one of the kind of central reasons for some of the stuff they're doing, why they're stealing stuff, why they later get to what the main thing in the book is they're trying to get money for Janis Joplin tickets. Oh. And those are a whole $8. And man, where are they going to get $8? Well, we can try stealing stuff and peddling it off somewhere. Or we can do ghost tours of Proctor Valley Road, which is, come to find out, this is in California. I didn't know, and I watch a few ghost hunting shows and stuff, but I didn't know this is a real road in California that has a lot of weird stuff associated with it. Whole urban legends and websites and everything dedicated to it. Well, these girls live in the area. They're familiar with it. They know about some of the stories. They're kind of campfire stories. And so to make money, they're like, why don't we make like ghost tours of this road? They have one friend who does a spooky voice and can tell creepy stories. We'll have her tell stories and we'll run people through here. But what if all that stuff is true? To the point of some of the stories they're making up on the spot, it seems, start happening on this road.
Now that sounds like Grant Morrison there.
Yes. So the twist of it is really cool. It's very Grant Morrison, and you're like, okay, he's got a big plan for this. This is cool. Um, one of the last scenes in it is just awesome. That when kind of it ramps up to what's going on, it's just so well paced. Um, so I wasn't sure what to think of first, especially with these kind of these bad kids. But in the end, I was on board. I thought this was a lot of fun. The references were fun. The pacing was great. You could tell. I mean, it was written by a experienced a seasoned
yes.
comic writer. I mean, it does not miss a beat. So I really enjoyed this. I'm excited to see this go on further and flourish like a lot of his older series did.
I would like to add, you're not the only person who believes in it because it is already optioned. It's one of those books that somehow
Man,
the powers that be heard, oh, Grant Morrison is finally doing another indie book. Could we have an advanced look? And they optioned it. So if
I
you're
believe it because unlike some of his stuff like Animal Man and all that you'd be like, this would be very hard
difficult to adapt.
To adapt.
Yeah.
This is so adaptable. It is exactly what's scratching the itch of people who are fans of Stranger Things. The recent remake of It, very like Stephen King with these like young kids. It's perfect for that. There is a few variants for this. The ones that I have right here. We have a 1 in 10 that we are selling for only $15 with a bull on it.
A bull, but the horns also look like a road to me.
Yes. So, I'm not going to say anything about this. You're just going to have to read it.
Minotaur maze. You got me thinking.
Yes, this is... Once you read it, this cover will make sense, but also will make you go, man, I wish I had that cover. So, don't wait. Get it now, because you'll appreciate it later. This one... Man, I've got so many thoughts about this one. This is the 1 in 50 variant cover by Peach Momoko. And has a creepy little something on there next to a wagon wheel. So what is this? We are selling this one for $50. I'll let you read the book, see if you can figure it out. But, I mean... this has so many of those cool little elements of like the bull and this. It's like, I can't wait to see what the next issue introduces. So
I will also add, I think we forgot to bring it over, but there's a 1 in 25 that's that same cover, except it's not Virgin. It has
okay,
the trade
yeah,
press.
okay, yes.
So I think we probably have at least one of those available for anyone.
But you know what it looks like. It looks like that, but imagine it with the title on it.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I have two I'm just going to talk about quickly. Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. Number 4 is out. This has been an anthology series all done in black and white and red representing blood. It has just been different Wolverine stories by different creators. This is the 4th and last issue of it. Just wanted to make people aware that it is out this week. At the same time, I'm going to go ahead and remind everyone, if you haven't been keeping up, there is a Carnage Black, White, and Red Blood.
It's so hard not to say
Carnage Black, White, and Blood that is beginning as well. That's going to be a 4-part series.
So, they also announced a Deadpool Black, White, and Blood that is coming out after that.
I know that.
This is kind of an ongoing thing.
Yeah, so just want to make you aware. We do have the 1 in 25 as rare variant for this, available for our people for $20. And that's all for me. You got some more stuff.
Yeah, now. I got speed runs to do. So to begin with, this is a big one that came out this week. This is the 3rd printing of Amazing Spider-Man 55, the Gleason Webhead variant.
That's my favorite color.
So the first one, we had the white Spider-Man on top of the black background. Then we had the red. Spider-Man. Now we have the like neon blue.
Electric blue.
If they do green, it's going to look very Matrixy or like early like Polygon look. But...
The Man-Thing webhead that showed off, or will show off, that kind of looks that way because of the green on black.
So everyone loved the first one that it has gone back. It's funny because it's like, it's not the book really that's gone back for a 2nd and 3rd printing. It's the cover.
It's the cover, yeah.
And it is such a good cover. that this has become a whole line that Marvel's going to be doing. I'm sure we're going to see some more coming out soon. We know already that the Man-Thing one's coming out, but these are the webhead variants, and I've heard more people excited about this third printing with the blue than any of them.
Yeah, Gleason also did the Carnage one where it looks like the spiders in the
Yep,
mouth.
for Carnage Red, White, and Blood #1. So we've got that to go along with it. We have Amazing Spider-Man 61, which this is just the A cover. This introduces the new costume for Spider-Man, which, love it or hate it, it's a new costume.
That's true.
Real goofy looking, but I feel like there's going to be a whole story behind it. So don't want to miss that one.
We upped our order on that a lot, and so many people signed up that we ended up with very few left.
So do you have any more variants?
Nope. That's
okay,
it.
then I'm going to keep going.
Please do.
But wait, there's more. Did want to mention Thor and Loki Double Trouble came out this week as well. This is, they did Spider-Man and Venom Double Trouble last year before that. It's a big hit. Great all ages book with really fun art. This one definitely has the feel of Thor and Loki are brothers, and they get into brotherly mischief. So really fun, great Garahiru art. We have, because Star Wars is the hottest thing right now, Star Wars #12 came out this week. Really awesome cover on this A cover. And slowly we are getting closer and closer to the big crossover with the bounty hunters. So you can kind of, I don't want to say you can see that coming in this, but the time frame and everything, you kind of understand where it's going to take place.
So everyone's really interested in the Starlight Squadron, and there's more.
Yes, with Poe Dameron's parents that are in it, and they play a very big role in this this whole story arc and what they. We're going to be seeing them for a long time to come.
Yeah, Poe Dameron's parents are getting an origin story in a couple issues.
Yeah. Then we have the 1 in 25 variant for $30. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
That same window that Luke looked out when he just got his new hand, and Leia, now she's looking out of it, thinking about Han, who's currently in carbonite at this point. Really great cover. And lastly, this is the Radiant Black second printing, and I wanted to bring this up because it is such a good cover. So they didn't just recolor the A cover; they went all out with this beautiful, like painted almost variant cover for Radiant Black #1. Great read, and even if you got #1, this is just as good as any of the variants that came out with that #1. So second printing, super nice.
It makes everything larger than life on it.
Yes.
From the perspective.
So is that everything? I think that is.
I think that's
everything.
I think that wraps up our show, our Tuesday spoiler-free review show.
Hopefully we didn't spoil anything with our
we try
winks
not.
and
We
nods.
try to tell just enough
to taste.
whet the appetite. All right, well, thank you all for tuning in. We also, every Friday, do a show called Comics from the Future, where we go over all the comics that are still open order. So, for instance, we went over all of these about 3 weeks ago, where you could have ordered as many as you want.
Yep.
It's before we get to read most of them, but still, we make you aware. So tune in on Friday.
Some big ones coming up on this next one. We got the new Green Lantern #1. We got Geiger #1 from Jeff Johns and Gary Frank.
Yeah,
some
right.
big stuff coming on, so you don't want to miss it. Going to be showing off all the covers, all the goodness.
Yep, and whether you tune in to our show on Facebook, we appreciate you there. We also very much appreciate everyone on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
We're nearing 600 subscribers.
Woo!
So, yeah, just keep sharing, telling your friends. We'll keep making the videos. We're trying to do a good job, maybe even improve them a little bit coming up.
Beef them up a little bit.
That's right. So as we head to 600 and then hopefully one day 1,000.
Where we launch our 24-hour comic news network.
That's what goes on in my head.
I know. That's our lives.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your day and happy reading wherever you go to get your comics on Wednesday. Have a great new comic book day. We'll leave you some order details if you care to possibly order with us. Thank you.